Hi, and welcome back to Black Rattle Life. If this is your first time joining us, I thank you for coming, and my name's Dave. In the early summer of 2023, Melinda and I decided that we wanted to downsize our existing home. We looked at the numbers, and the quotes we got from contractors were just astronomical, and we thought our dream was unattainable. But we decided to go back and recrunch the numbers with us doing the work ourselves, and we were pleasantly surprised that it was going to be financially feasible. But the real test was going to be, was it physically feasible for us to do it? We had just turned 60, and this is going to be a physical job, so we really had to decide, could we do this? And the answer was yes, we could. So I'd like to thank you for joining us on our journey as we build our lake house and add another chapter to our Black Rattle life. As we mentioned in earlier videos, we had an issue with our flooring system that held us up. It was our posts didn't line up. So with winter upon us, we felt weather breathing down our neck, and we decided to start building the walls on the section of floor that we were able to continue. This was a risk. We hadn't had our inspection for our floors, and starting another phase of the build without passing the previous inspection was a real risk. We could have to tear it all down. But it's a risk that we willingly took to try to get ahead of winter storms that were going to snow us in, and it paid off for us. But it's not a risk that I would easily suggest you take. I mean, you have to look at your own risk aversion to decide whether this is something you want to do. Every new phase starts with a materials delivery. Managing those is a huge part of a build. You need to plan far enough ahead to have lead time for the delivery, but not so far ahead that you get too much material on site. We vastly underestimated the amount of space we'd need to store materials and work with them. If possible, plan a fairly large flat staging area. You won't regret it, especially when contractors have to come in and have a place to park. And you can never have too many tarps. You'll need to cover your sheet goods. You'll need to cover your floors if it's going to snow or rain. You'll need to cover your roof in before you've got your sheathing and underlayment on to get dried in. So you can never have too many tarps. But one word of caution, snow on top of tarps is really, really, really slippery. Don't ask me how I know, please. Now that everything was on site, it was time to start building. And the floor is a great place to lay out all the walls. You've got a large flat area, just amazing to work with. Your blueprints will be indispensable at this point because they show all of the openings and the sizes and locations of your window and door openings and your walls where they tie in. And this is going to be one of the first places that a novice builder, somebody inexperienced with building, can get into trouble and really screw something up. The size on your windows on your blueprints will be for the actual outside of the window casing. So it's the overall dimensions of the window. But for doors, it's a little bit different because you're going to measure the door opening is the inside opening. So you're going to want an extra inch of space around your windows. So a 36 by 36 inch window would have a rough opening of 37 by 37 inches, but a 36 inch door has an outside casing of about 38 inches. So you're going to need about 39 inches in width for the opening. And we didn't account for that when we did our first opening. So when I went to install our first door, it didn't fit. So I had to tear the framing out from around the door, put new headers in, and that's much harder to do when the walls are already up and everything is fastened in and sheathed. And just to add confusion for us newbies who were building without the experience of training, patio doors are not treated like doors, they're treated like windows. So a 6-foot patio door is actually 6 feet wide on the outside. It's not 6 feet on the inside of the frame. So you'll need an extra inch all the way around your patio doors to make them fit well. It's always a good idea, if you're ordering your windows and doors, things like that, to get the rough opening sizes from your contractor or from your supplier. Most of them will say, if you tell them what windows you want, they'll have a list of the actual rough opening that you have to install, and it's really a good idea to get that. I skipped that stage thinking that it was pretty standard, but I was wrong. And while we're on the topic of windows and doors, we should probably mention that when you're ordering your windows and doors, once you've got your quotes for your materials and your blueprints and everything is all settled, go to your supplier and find out how much the lead time is for your doors and windows. If you're getting standard window sizes, just the normal, basically off the shelf, no bells and whistles on them, they can probably get them in a week or less. But if you're getting custom windows and doors and getting custom trim on it, the wait time can be up to 5 and 6 months, depending on the time of year and how the build is going. So you'll want to know that, because you don't want to wait till the last minute to thinking you're going to install your windows and then have the whole build held up for another several months while you wait for the windows to come in. Now, onto the build. We built with 2x6 walls to get the proper amount of insulation, and we built with 16-inch centers. There is the option to go with 24-inch centers. The pros, it's less lumber, slightly better insulation, and lighter walls. The cons is less wall rigidity. And since our house build was long and narrow, open concept with not a lot of cross walls in it for support, we wanted the extra support in our walls, so we decided to go with the 16-inch centers. We started by laying out the sill plate, standing a 2x6 on edge. This is where the time spent making sure the floors were straight will begin to pay off. You will know that you have a perfectly straight line to work from, and I'll tell you, none of your lumber will be straight, so having a reference point will pay huge dividends here. We laid out the long wall first to get the layout. It is 40 feet long with one window and one door. We used two 16-foot 2x6s and one 8-foot to get the length. We then laid out the top plate parallel to this about 8 feet away. Referring to the blueprints, we started measuring the sill plates for the placement of the wall studs and the door and window openings. We laid out our studs 16 inches on center. Our process was a bit different in that we used full-length studs in the walls with the sill and the double header top sill. This made our walls 8 feet 4.5 inches high. We wanted a little extra clearance because one of us is fairly tall, and we planned on adding ceiling fans, so the extra clearance was a priority for us. We nailed the studs in place with an air nailer, placing 2 nails in each end of the stud. The second row of the top sill is added later to the wall sections to hold the wall sections together. For the openings for doors and windows, you will need a header above the opening in a load-bearing wall. We used 2x10 boards glued together for a header, or rather, we did once we got it right. We originally put one 2x10 on each side of the wall with a gap between them. This was to give us a nailing surface on each side. Luckily, a friend was following our build on Facebook and told us that we had not built to code, and we were able to fix it before inspection. The inspector confirmed that we would have failed our inspection the other way. An opening consists of several parts to work properly. On each side of the outside, you have the king stud. This runs from sill to top plate. The headers are nailed to the king stud at the desired height. Inside the king stud and tight to the bottom of the header is the jack stud. This supports the weight of the header and runs to the bottom plate. The bottom of a window opening is a sill that is nailed into place to the jack stud. The sill is supported by cripple studs that run from the bottom of the sill to the bottom plate. These are laid out on the original 16-inch centers and are used to nail the drywall and other wall coverings. It is important to keep the 16-inch spacing as you continue down the wall, as you will need to have those edges of drywall land on a stud, and it makes it easier to mark the studs to allow to add screws to drywall holding it in place. Every screw that misses a stud is another hole you need to fill when it comes time to mudding. Sometimes the openings don't quite line up with your 16-inch centers, and nailing gets to be difficult. We found the air nailer to be a big help getting in those types of spaces. Once you have a wall section built, you will want to square it. We did ours by laying a sheet of OSB on the wall stud and screwing it to the wall along the top sill. Then we moved the wall until the studs lined up with the edge of the sheet of OSB. To double check for square, we measured diagonally corner to corner and verified that both measures were the same. We adjusted to get them correct and fastened the OSB to the studs. This steadies the wall in preparation for raising. Before raising the wall, make sure to staple sill gasket along the floor where the wall will sit. This helps to limit air infiltration at this joint and minimizes the chance of mold growth behind the baseboards. Also, nail or screw a board or two along the rim joist to help steady the wall when you stand it up. The last thing you want to do is lift a wall up, get it straight, and have it continue over and fall to the outside of the house, potentially taking you with it. Now, in raising the walls was the first time we ran in headfirst into reality. Raising walls is hard, and they're heavy. Did I mention that we are in our 60s, not spring chickens? I'm 6'4" and Melinda's 5'2". Our leverage doesn't always line up, but we were both stubborn and wanted to do this ourselves. We stood the first section up, the 8-foot section, and it was all we could manage alone. It's heavy. We found that we could lift a 16-foot section if we only put one row of OSB on to brace it, but we did it. Once your wall is stood up, line your wall with bottom plate up with the edge of your wall, which you had taken a lot of time to cover and get perfectly straight. Then tack it to the floor. Using a minimum 4-foot level, adjust the walls until they are plumb and brace them straight up. I use screws here temporarily as it allows me to adjust them and remove them later easily. Continue around the house until all of your walls are standing and braced. While we were building the walls, it seemed like we had an unforecasted flurry every single night. Each day started with clearing snow off the tarps and cleaning the floors. For dry snow, a leaf blower worked like a charm. We also had to clear the driveway where we lived. Then the driveway where we were building, and any lumber piles and work areas. Whoever said if you do a good job and do it right the first time, you'll never do it again, obviously never shoveled snow. I love a snowblower. It throws the snow out of the way and doesn't leave banks along the edge that creep in, taking up space every time it snows. For the wall facing the lake, we ended up standing the walls and adding headers later. We had 3 patio doors and a window on this wall, and none of the wall sections actually lined up with the 16 or 8 foot. I'm sure there's a better way to do it, but it worked out well for us. Once the screw piles for the deck were fixed and the floor was installed, we could start standing the posts and add the beams for the wall on the deck. We were building a covered deck and the trusses would span the house and the deck. We needed to get the walls lined up to determine the height of the post and beams. With the walls all standing, we knew that the bottom of the walls were square because they lined up with the floor that we had spent so much time squaring. Now it was time to square the tops of the walls. Using a string line, we made sure that the top sill is straight, adjusting the braces until they lined up. Once it is straight, add the top plate, second layer, to lock the wall sections together in a straight line. Make sure that the top 2 sill plates don't have joints in the same place, and that the joints fall on a stud for extra strength. Measure the walls corner to corner, diagonally, and adjust if necessary until they are equal. Check the walls in several places with a level, and if all is good, nail the bottom plate to the rim joist and floor joist to anchor it. Then we added the rest of the OSB to the walls to steady it up. When adding OSB, you can cut the openings in the sheet before putting it on the wall, or you can cut it out once it is on. Never pass up an opportunity to make work fun. Now to stand the posts on the deck. The deck floor is slightly lower than the house floor, so we couldn't just use the same measurements. It also had a triple laminated 2x10 beam across the posts, the top of which had to be level with the house walls. This is another one of those spots where laser level would have come in handy. Lesson learned. We started by putting brackets over the floor posts that went down to the screw piles. All posts have to line up vertically to transfer the load. We stood posts on the outside brackets, then braced them plumb. We fastened a string to the top of the wall furthest from the deck. Pulling it taut, we lowered it until it just touched the wall closest to us and marked that line on the post. That should give us the height of the top of the beam. The truss will sit on those 3 points, so they need to be in line and level. Then I double checked the true dimensions of the 2x10s, as they can vary from supplier to supplier, and subtracted that amount from the total height of the beam. That gave us the height of the post that would support the beam. We repeated the process at the other end of the deck and found that both agreed. Always a good sign. We built the laminate beam, gluing the 2x10s together and nailing them and fastening into the brackets on top of each beam. We used a string to straighten the beam and brace the post to the house. We added the double tie beam at each end as per the drawings. This is to support the outside beam and the house and prevent racking. A last check that everything is square and level, and it's time to take a deep breath, sigh, and enjoy the view. The walls take your space definition to the next level. The floors allow you to imagine your view, but having the walls up really show you what you have. We haven't cut any trees by the lake because until this point we weren't 100% sure the view plane would look like. And you can't put back 100-year-old trees overnight. Definitely not on our budget. So now that we have all of our walls up and all of everything squared, everything leveled, everything lined up as well as we can get it, the next big phase comes in raising the trusses. And in a future video, we'll talk about raising the trusses, but I will say, if you're going to be doing this, make sure you have some friends handy, because trusses are heavy. You're working at height off of staging or on planks, and you know, it's just not something that two people can do easily, especially two older people. So we had another couple come and help us, and if you want to look forward to that video, please hit like and subscribe. And you'll see upcoming videos as they become available. And if you hit the like, it helps get the word out to other people. We really want these videos to show people that it's possible to build your own house, save a lot of money. And in today's economic climate, really that's the only way a lot of people are going to be able to get into a house, especially younger people. So, you know, we're doing what we learned from our build to show you how to get into your own house and live your own best life. So thanks once again for Black Rattle Life. We love having you here and appreciate you coming.